Ladies and gents, welcome back. Famous words from Justin Trudeau. I don't think about monetary policy. Well, we're all thinking about monetary policy now with inflation through the roof. The price of food has almost doubled in the past year, and, well, we're all suffering for it. Now, the Bank of Canada is once again raising rates. We have here from True North, Bank of Canada rate hikes to the highest level since 2008. The Bank of Canada announced another interest rate hike Wednesday. It raised the rates by 50 basis points. That's 0.5% to 4.25% to the highest since 2008. This is the seventh rate hike of the year by the central bank in an effort to slow down inflation, which apparently wasn't a thing until it became a thing. But don't concern yourself about the overspending. That's not how we got ourselves there. But now the Bank of Canada only a short while ago actually was trying to encourage people to make big purchases by saying that the Bank of Canada was not going to raise interest rates at all. They were going to keep it at historic lows. And well, here's Macklem, the president or CEO of the Bank of Canada himself, saying this.
The COVID-19 pandemic has caused an unprecedented fall in economic activity in Canada, and the recovery will require considerable monetary policy support. Our overriding message to Canadians is that the bank will be there to provide monetary stimulus for an extended period to support the recovery and to return inflation to the 2% target. Interest rates are very low, and they're going to be there for a long time. We recognize that Canadian businesses are facing an unusual amount of uncertainty. And so we have been unusually clear about the future path for interest rates. If you've got a mortgage, or if you're considering to make a major purchase, or you're a business and you're considering making an investment, you can be confident that interest rates will be low for a long time. Low interest rates make spending and investment more affordable, and spending and investment will support the recovery. That would be our message to Canadians.
Yeah, and well, ensuring that people make big purchases and then raising the rates after does a tremendous amount of damage to people in their normal lives. Now, Canada is worried. A majority of Canadians are worried about feeding their families. This is another poll. I kind of throw a lot of these polls out. This one is not by Nanos, fortunately, but it was for Global News. But it's showing that the poll shows that 53% of people surveyed are fearful about not being able to put food on the table, an increase of 9 points since the last month. And again, we take these polls with a grain of salt because often their methodology is just terrible. But we do see, here's the daily brief from True North. Food prices continue to soar. The average Canadian family is now spending over $15,000 a year on groceries. I mean, I know that's Trudeau's monthly expenses, but yeah, it's gone up. It's going to go up another $1,000 in the year ahead, and this is what they're projecting. And it's insane to me to see that this is the way it's going. Now, economists would agree that raising the interest rates is actually the cure for this. Market interest rates should be a lot higher, actually, but that's the thing. It will cause a lot of damage in the short term, and that's what they're trying to do. But interest rates should have been raised a long time ago. That's the problem. They kicked the can down the road so Trudeau could do all this spending, and spending he did. He did. This is the Auditor General has found that billions of dollars in COVID relief funding was sent out to ineligible recipients. This is more spending that just went unnoticed. And how much are we talking? This is another article from True North. If only Trudeau did think about monetary policy. It gets into exactly how much of that was spent on people who were ineligible. The audit of benefits found that overpayments of $0.6 billion were made to ineligible individuals, and we estimate that at least $27.4 billion of payments to individuals and employees should be investigated further, he said. And this is Hogan, the Auditor General. It's unbelievable. What else did we spend money on? Well, here's from the National Post. Canada set to waste $1 billion worth of COVID-19 vaccines. You know that thing that they said everybody ought to have and tried to force everybody to have, actually using coercion and going beyond the purview of what is ethical for a government to do? Yeah, well, they didn't even use it all. They didn't even use it all. They bought a lot of it. And, over more than $1 billion more than they needed. We have here Canada is set to dispose of $1 billion worth of COVID vaccines before the end of the year, on top of tens of millions of other doses that have already expired, according to the Auditor General. I'll leave a link in the description so you can read this article for yourself. But let's get on. Here's Pierre Poilievre asked about the economy and how that's going to harm Canadians.
Just asking, what do you make of the Bank of Canada raising the interest rate?
It's another uppercut for Canadians. You take the average house, the average mortgage, they're paying $7,000 more in mortgage payments throughout a year compared to what they would have paid before these rate hikes began. The vast majority of families cannot afford $7,000 a year, and it's all because of the inflationary deficits and spending of Justin Trudeau. Even the Bank of Canada governor has said that if deficits were smaller, inflation and interest rates would be lower. Scotiabank came out this week. If I could finish, if I could just finish my answer. The Scotiabank came out and said that the deficits are driving up interest rates. So the reality is Justin Trudeau is responsible for the massive increase in interest rates and the massive increase in inflation, and the average Canadian is paying the price for that. So that's the reality that we're faced with today, and Canadians are suffering as a result.
Absolutely, and it's not only these rate hikes, but and all the spending, but we have spending that we need to do, and that comes in the form of pensions in Canada, and we have our debt load of unfunded liabilities is quite high, and we're going to have a lot more people joining the ranks of retirees in the near future. And this is Michelle Rempel Garner expressing exactly that sentiment in this while they're passing C32. This is the Fall Economic Statement Implementation Act of 2022.
The OECD recently estimated that underfunded or unfunded government pension liabilities in the top 20 economies amounted to a startling $78 billion. They described this $78 billion. They described this as a time bomb. What happens when, or if, government starts defaulting on pensioners' pensions? That's a huge problem. Our government doesn't have the resiliency. If we keep spending to address these problems, this bill doesn't look at any of these issues. We also are in a period of what economists are starting to look at as persistent, sticky stagflation. And that means that the cost of goods continue to increase over time, a long period of time, while the economy continues to shrink. That means that the cost of good increases while people have less opportunity to both create jobs, get a job, or increase their wages. That is very, very bad news for a lot of Canadians, and this bill does not address that. There's nothing in here that addresses the determinants of these issues, like supply chain resiliency, like the conflict between economic and monetary policy that I've already described.
And I'll leave the link in the description down below so you can watch the whole clip in its entirety. It's about 15 minutes long. She gives a really good speech about what's going on with this bill and what their proposed spending is what it's really about. The replies from their opposition on her speech. Of course, the Liberals coming in and saying, well, it's a problem because the Conservatives don't want to spend more money. I don't understand the logic. Very disappointing to hear that. But yeah, check out the link in the description down below and you can watch that video for yourself. But again, I hate to drive this one home, but the Bank of Canada lied to us. They lied to us in saying that, well, interest rates will stay low.
We have been unusually clear about the future path for interest rates. If you've got a mortgage or if you're considering to make a major purchase or you're a business and you're considering making an investment, you can be confident that interest rates will be low for a long time.
Why do they call banks trusts? Well, and that's because we have to have trust in what they're doing. And when they give us this kind of confidence, they tell us confidence. It's funny that a con man is called a confidence man. It's the whole idea of giving people false confidence. And he says it right here. Macklem says that he wants to give Canadians confidence to make giant purchases, life-changing purchases, and then proceeds to raise interest rates, and they're doing it little by little. It's once every month, a couple more basis points, but that's what's happening. Anyway, I'm gonna leave it there. Leave a comment in the comment section down below. Is this affecting your life? Is this something that is directly affecting you? The interest rates. I know a lot of people have variable rate mortgages, and that happens pretty quick, and that raises the price of a lot of people's just monthly payments. Let me know in the comment section down below. Is this affecting you? And well, we'll see you in the next one. Keep on trucking.